Today on Grand Thumb, the Sig MPX. If you're not familiar with the Sig MPX, it is a short-stroke, gas-operated 9mm pistol caliber carbine. For the military, it'd be a submachine gun. Now, at this point, the gun has been out since 2015 and has participated not just in civilian areas of shooting, but as well as military and police work. So now that we are almost 10 years into the life of the MPX, how is it actually doing? This is a further review upon the MPX from our initial review. We now have well over 10,000 rounds on the MPX. This particular one has 8,000, and we're gonna be giving what I would say would be our final thoughts on the MPX as a platform. So stay tuned as we are unbiased in our approach to the Sig MPX. But before we get into it, we of course have to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, who is Primary Arms. If you're looking to get optics at a great price, but even better, they now have their pistol optic out, which is my favorite pistol optic. I'm not even lying, not just because they sponsor me. The HTX-1 sits low enough with MOS mounting from Glocks to co-witness with iron sights. Big, generous window. We love it. Go and check them out. Tons of great things for them. And of course, if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to rent night vision, the only N word you can say, Night Vision Network, go and check them out. You can see your friends in high fidelity at night. Is that gay?
Why are you gay?
I mean, I don't think so.
Do you want to get better at shooting dry fire? Magicians will turn your gun into a dry fire machine. Go and check them out. All ammunition is sponsored by AAC. That being said, talk is cheap. Ammunition is what?
It's expensive.
Sponsored by AAC.
Oh yeah.
We are now going to run drills with the Sig MPX to test its ability to run, how well it does from the shooter's perspective. John, at this point, the MPX has been in multiple conflicts. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's a fantastic PCC or submachine gun, depending which version you got, but I still think the MP5 beats it out.
We're just about to shoot, man. You can't give your final opinions. All right,
Killed a lot more people.
We're going to start with the build drill. Build drill is 6 rounds at 7 yards, and under 2 seconds is our general standard, but we like to do it under 1.5. Has to be within the A zone right here, which is that nice area of very critical organs to the human body. So we'll go ahead and start with that. I'll go first, then we'll have John. John, are you ready to hit me? All right.
159.
Let's slow on that first shot. Let's go ahead and check out my shots right there. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very easy. If there's one thing you can say about it with the AR-like trigger and then the short stroke gas system, you have very light recoil, very quick follow-up shots. All right, John, you ready?
Yep.
All right, shooter, are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by. All right, 130. Good job. Clean shots right there. Perfect. So as you can see at speed, pretty good. Let's go ahead. Let's run a transition drill. Let's see how easy it is to drive it between targets. John, you're going to start right here. We're going to do 2 shots per target. Shooter, are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Nice. 166, 151.
Little low.
No, you're fine. You're clean. A little low on those shots. That's just aiming for A zone. So that's perfect going across. All right. God, sorry, I wasn't ready. I did that pretty bad. Yeah, I really that one up. That middle one was terrible. Okay, let's try that one more time for me.
What was my total time?
It's 130.
Yeah, bye. Really fast. 154.
Nice. Cool. Clean on that one, except for that first run. We don't pretend about that one. Okay, I guess I came out on C on that one. All right, let's go ahead. Let's run one Mozambique. Go ahead and hit me with that one, John.
Yeah, bye.
0.91. Cool. All right. Final thing we'll do right here is we will go ahead and run a little drill, and then we will go ahead and start talking about it.
.752.
Sick. You ready?
Yep.
Shooter, are you ready?
Yep.
Stand by. 239. Looks like we both had line breaks on that, but otherwise clean going across, man. Good job.
Sweet.
Next, we're going to be trying out the recoil comparison between the MPX and the greatest MPX competitor, which since the 60s for any PCC or submachine gun has been the MP5. So first up, we'll have the MPX. That is a remarkably soft shooting weapon. Okay, let's try the MP5. So I will say they feel very, very similar. One thing that I'll note is that On the MPX, we do have a laser out front as well, which is going to help control the recoil a little bit more, and an A2. So I will say that they're fairly comparable, although the MPX, simply because of its setup, does feel softer shooting. John, do you want to go ahead and try these out?
Yeah, the MP5 is jumping a little bit more, but it's not that dramatic.
I would say due to the laser, more than likely, maybe the lack of muzzle device compared to the two. Yeah. Agreed?
Yeah.
All right, get out of the camera.
All right, stand by. Can you check the splits? Because that was really fast.
Okay, 0.11. Okay. Side one more time. Ready?
Stand by.
1-1-1-1-3. Get one more.
Stand by.
Yeah. Haha. Okay, so about 0.11 to 0.13, depending on how good I am. That's fast. Not as fast as I can do an AR. John, how fast do you think you can do it?
Not that bad.
You don't think so?
No.
I bet you can, dude. Shooter, stand by.
Did you really? Did you really take the round out of the chamber?
Oh no, it's just a bad round.
Oh, dead primer? It's a 1 in a million.
Yo, I thought you did that on purpose.
No. All right, are you ready? Right.
Probably full on 5. 1-4.
Stand by.
That was slow.
You got even slower. Here you go. Did you drop the bolt?
Yeah.
Thought we were done. Stand by. Gotta make sure. All right, cool.
I don't know, dude. I need to practice.
Okay.
All right, stand by.
Wow.
Yeah. Woo. All right, let's get into the review. Quite a bit of time on this at this point, and we need to do a couple full disclosures. So first off, full disclosure, we have worked with Sig before, obviously, on a lot of the newer military weapons that have come out. There is a relationship there, as well as the fact that we do some of the work with our Phantom high-speed camera with Sig. So understand that there is a working relationship there. That being said, this particular MPX was purchased by me originally. They did send me a new barrel for it that I requested because originally this came as the shorter variant and then wanted the 8-inch variant. We have over 8,000 rounds on this guy at this point, with an extra 2,000 on some other MPX variants, and these have been fairly well tested at this point. So let's go ahead, let's launch into our review of the Sig MPX. We will, of course, always be as unbiased as we possibly can, which is why we always do our full disclosure. So the MPX, as we said earlier, is a gas-operated short stroke, specifically PCC, which is very unique. Most 9mm pistol caliber carbines are a blowback design of some type, whether it be a straight blowback or whether it be like a delayed blowback like what we see at the MP5, which is a roller delayed system. Now, one thing that I do need to note before we get into this is just how good the MP5 is. MP5 developed in the 60s and still used well into today with modernized furniture, simply because it is such a robust, such a soft recoiling, and just a very well accepted submachine gun due to the longevity of its lifespan, due to the fact that it just runs. They do not shut down easily, and further than that, maybe much more so than just being a civilian, but when it comes to parts replacements, they tend to not wear out their parts too quickly at all, which is a huge cost saving to many governments and police forces that use them. Now, many different subguns have tried to unseat the MP5 over the years. MP5 killer is a term that is often used on weapons that are not MP5 killers, so I'm not going to say it here. But the MPX was certainly designed to try to take over some of that market. So let's go ahead, let's get into it. We're going to start at the very tip here with the muzzle, with our typical birdcage flash hider that they have on it here. And probably one of my first gripes at the MPX is the very odd thread pitch that they have chosen to use on their barrel. Now, they did this because it, of course, is utilizing SIG products, SIG suppressors. I think they should have just gone with a normal 1/2x28 or a tri-lug mount. I know a lot of people don't like the tri-lug mount, often kind of associated with the MP5. I prefer them, I love them, and even if not a tri-lug, at least a 1/2x28, so that it's just easier to use with your typical suppressors without having to buy an adapter, a taper lock, all that crazy crap that you have on the Sig barrel. Now, I don't have anything against Sig suppressors specifically. It's just they're trying to point you in that direction. I get it. I don't like it that much. So let's talk a little bit about barrels for a moment as we get into it. First off, Sig barrels are very, very well manufactured, and I have nothing bad to say about them. In the case of our MPX, it's been incredibly accurate, well out to the distances that you'd want the submachine gun, out to about 200. Now, the inlead we trust barrels are excellent as well. And probably one of the biggest problems you run into with the Sig MPX is suppressing it. It's very weird, but you'd think with a short stroke gas operated weapon that suppressing it would be really nice because most of that gas is not coming back into the carrier. But when it comes to pistol rounds, you run into a few issues when it comes to suppression. First off, pistol powder is more dirty. For my guys who run some certain types of 300 black subs that use pistol powder, you'll know how dirty your gun gets. That definitely translates over to running a PCC or a pistol suppress. So these guns get extremely dirty very quickly. The MPX is gassed very well unsuppressed, and with a suppressor, it tends to run a little bit hotter, which can lead to some issues. There are a lot of different talks online about people using different types of springs to try to gas the weapon correctly. I think one of the nice things about the inlead we trust barrels is that the gas can be specifically dialed to what you want. That way you can kind of limit that velocity coming back from the piston system on the bolt carrier, and you can save some of the parts wear that you typically get from running a suppressed weapon. So I'm a big fan of them. He does note in his own website and his own postings on various forums that those gas jets that are used in the piston system, it has 6 different settings that you can turn it to, will eventually wear out. It is a use item. It will be eventually worn away. But that being said, if you're wanting to run your MPX primarily suppressed, I do think that's probably one of the best options. I do know that some people who've had suppressors on their MPXs have had issues with accuracy, and there's a couple issues that we'll kind of delve into when it comes to that problem. So we spent a lot of time talking with a lot of really good people when it comes to the MPX. Obviously, when it comes to the MP5, we reference James Williamson of HK. And when it comes to the MPX, we primarily reference Ronin Arms. So they make a lot of very cool custom MPX. They make like the MPX SD. They are, I would say, some of the MPX experts. So we're referencing them quite a bit. A lot of the problems with the accuracy when it comes to the Sig MPX come down to not the barrel, because it is very easy to change the barrel. You simply pop off the handguard, 2 screws come out, pop in a new barrel, very simple. But it's actually the gas block itself. So Ronin Arms has developed like a shim kit to help make sure that those gas blocks are at the correct tensioning level to ensure that you don't have any accuracy problems. And whether or not you have a problem with accuracy, it's kind of luck of the draw when it comes to that. The inlead we trust barrels seem to be very well done when it comes to their gas blocks. The Sig's going to be a little bit hit or miss. I have noticed with the Gen 2s, which is what this is, that I haven't had many issues. Gen 3s seem to be pretty good. Ronin Arms has noted a few issues when it comes to those in terms of fitment of those gas blocks. But again, a little bit of luck of the draw. Test your MPX when you get it to see if it's accurate. Our particular Sig barrel, as well as our inlead we trust barrel, were incredibly accurate. So that's a very long way of saying that suppressing the MPX is not a good time. And that's unfortunate, because I think one of the best parts about having a pistol caliber carbine is suppressing it and having a cheap but good fighting rifle.
Are you indecisive? Do you have friends that you have no idea what to get them? Well, this video's sponsor is Tacpack. Tacpack is a monthly subscription service, and because it's all bought in bulk, you get a great value for what you buy. Now, Tacpack is filled with great brands such as Reptilia, 511 Tactical, 9 Line Apparel, Battle Arms Development, CMMG and Mission First Tactical, and many more. So let's talk about it here. Now, when you order Tacpack, you have 2 main tiers. You have your standard, and then of course you have Tacpack Plus. That is the deluxe version for the most esteemed operators. You pay $139.95, and the value of your items is between $240 to $300. Now, remember to use the code GRANTHUMB. You get a free $60 gift with your subscription. That means that you are getting a lot more in that very first subscription. Let's take a look at a couple of items that you might be able to get your hands on. Mission First Tactical pistol case. Very handy, always good to keep your Gucci guns nice and protected on the drive to the range. You have, of course, eye pro. Not just any eye pro, you have Icon eye pro, because you know what, you only have 2 pairs of eyes. And of course, we have a nice little hand stop so you can make sure you control your gun, and a laser rangefinder so you don't commit the ultimate sin of being 22 man and misjudging your distance. We actually have a cloud defensive admin light that is super cool. And finally, cross machining tool DRT rail. These are actually extremely well made. Point is, you're getting some great items, guys. Go and check them out. Use code GRANDTHUMB. Thank you so much. Go check out Tacpack. Back to the video.
Now, it should be mentioned when it comes to the MP5, a lot of people throw a suppressor on here, shoot it, no problem. But really, in reality, there can be timing issues. When you suppress the MP5, there should be, if you're not running a flow-through system, some changes made to the degree for your roller delayed system to ensure that you are timing it correctly, to ensure that you're not getting excess parts wear. But that's another discussion for another day. So what I mean to say by that is, whether it be the MP5 or the MPX, they both suffer from their own problem from suppression. So don't think this is just a MPX specific issue. If it's just, I'm going to be unnecessarily harsh when it comes to newer systems, when it comes to that, because I think this should have been solved by 2015 when it comes to a pistol caliber carbine, especially by 2025, which is where we're at right now. Now, moving back from there, the handguard. There are a million handguards. I would say Midwest Industries makes some of the best. This is a Gen 1 handguard because I am super autistic and I love the way the Gen 1 handguard looks. It's got that kind of Elva look to it and I love it just so much. But there are tons of great handguards out there. In general, your handguards don't have a great lockup in terms of holding zero with a laser. There's a little bit of wobble there because the actual integrated rail for the MPX ends about right here. So in reality, if you really wanted to run a laser, I would probably move it further back. Now, in terms of how I run my lasers just indoors, it's not as big of a deal to me, but it should be noted for agencies, departments, civilians. If you do have your laser out front, it's not going to be perfect for those longer shots or anything like that. But most shooting should be done passively. That's another discussion. But just as a quick note, we do have a Surefire scout light right up front here with it. And then this is coming back to our normal pressure pad. We have some hockey tape wrapped around that to keep that pressure pad secure. That way we can activate it. I like to move my pressure pads a little bit further back. That way when I'm gripping, I'm not going to accidentally depress that. Now, moving from there, we have a couple other issues that I want to talk about. I feel like I'm just talking about issues only. It is a very nice shooting gun. I'm just being unnecessarily harsh. So, magazines. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. So, when it comes to magazines, the biggest problem with the MPX is price when it comes to magazines. The gun itself is closing in on $2K, and then you have magazines, which the price has come down slightly, whether it be between $50 to $60 for a magazine is quite a bit. So there's two different types of magazines. We have the Lancer mags right here, which kind of what originally came with them, and then you have the Thrill mags, which also make the OEM Sig mags, and you can get those for much cheaper. In general, from talking to Ronin Arms and other MPX users, the consensus is that the Thrill mags tend to run a lot better than the Lancer mags. It's very easy on the Lancer mags, and this, I don't mean to dog on Lancer, just on this particular design, it's very easy to load an extra round into there and it causes problems. So just make sure you're kind of keeping track. If you're a Marine, I understand counting is hard. Just do your best when it comes to that. Can Marines count, John?
No.
That was quick. So that's kind of the issue there. I will say, overall, the MPX mag is an extremely well-designed magazine. These are incredibly robust. Compared to like B&T mags, you don't have the problem where they bust open and you drop them. Very reliable, very durable, steel feed lips, all that kind of stuff. It really isn't an issue when it comes to that. It's just price is a bitch, and there's some problems when it comes to overloading them. So if you're gonna get an MPX, I highly recommend getting Thrill mags instead, and those are much cheaper. I just have a bunch of these at this point, so I didn't switch over. But everything I've heard is that those mags will run significantly better in the MPX. Now, other PCCs that have good magazine designs would be the MP5, which we have right here, as well as the CC Scorpion. Now, the one thing that I can say that's nice about the MPX compared to your typical MP5, go ahead and clear that out, is that if you notice, we have a last round bolt hold open. That is something that the MP5 lacks. And that is a hugely awesome improvement that was made on the MPX. So that means on your last round, you fire. So we'll go ahead and show you how that works right here. So I have one round in there. I go to fire. That bolt is going to lock back. At that point, all I have to do is check the magazine. As I come over here, insert the mag, and bolt release, just like an AR. Super fast, super efficient. This is a very quick reload. We showed some of them in the intro. We'll show some of them right now. It works incredibly well. So I'm a huge fan of the controls when it comes to the MPX. So let's take a moment to talk about the controls, talk about the usability. Now, one thing that I can say that I really like is there is a good magazine well right here. So it really guides you into that, to inserting that mag well. Sometimes like the MP5, you take a look at it, like you just got to get this guy dead on. You're either in or you're not. When it comes to the MPX, you have a lot of wiggle room. You got a big old, how do I say this without sounding weird? You have a big old opening, and it's easy to get. I have the most immature camera guy in like employees. They're all laughing back there. That works really well, and the controls are fairly ambidextrous. So we have our magazine release on the right-hand side. You have the magazine release on the wrong side, left side, and then of course you have your ability to lock the bolt back. You can release it with the paddle release right here as well. For my left-handed guys, you can release the bolt on the right side. So that's very handy. So for my left-hand guys, when that bolt's locked to the rear and you put that mag in, it's much easier because you can just hit that release right there. It is an ambi design. They did a very good job with it. I haven't noticed any reliability issues when it comes to the lowers, and I am a big fan of the controls. Now, probably one of the best parts about the MPX is going to be the trigger. Now, this is a Hyperfire trigger that just came with the older MPXs. You could put any trigger in there. I would typically recommend some type of Geissele trigger, but I really do have to give it to Sig. The trigger that came with this MPX, very good. So let's go ahead and let's ghost this together. Put your finger right over mine, feeling into it. No take up. With a clean 2-pound pull, maybe 2.5. Feel into that one more time. Off the reset, crispy. Crispy. If there's one thing that pisses me off, you buy a $2,000 gun, and then it has a trigger. That sucks. So that is good that they included that. Now, you have your typical AR grip. We have more hockey tape down there or goon tape. You never know, and you're going to need to, I'm not going to say it. We have our safety. Safety is ambi. They have a shorter lever on the right-hand side. The reason for that is if you're taking the longer shots, kind of doesn't interfere with your thumb, anything like that. Just like an AR. No problems there. Charging handle. This is the original MPX charging handle. I would typically recommend upgrading to the Radian. I think it is a much better design. So that would be what I would recommend. On the back here, we have 1913. Add any type of stock you want. I have the really short straight stock because on the MPX with armor, all that kind of stuff, it works a lot better. Without armor, it's a little short on the length of pull, but I don't mind having a very compact gun when it comes to this guy. Now, we talked about a lot of the external features. Talking about the internal features, how does the gun actually shoot? Incredibly soft. This is a really pleasurable gun to shoot, but there are some issues. So we did have an extractor break at about 8K. So from talking to different people who run the MPX, there is a weak point on the extractor. I have seen other people break their extractors just like mine was broken. So I don't believe this is a isolated issue. It's an easy part to have. It's a really easy part to change out. So in our case, we of course broke it right during our intro filming. So we had to delay this guy for a week while we got another one sent in. But I think part of the problem was we had a slight issue with the inlet we trust barrel where it was kind of grabbing onto it a little bit weird at the extractor. I think that ultimately caused the extractor failure. I think that's like a 1 in a million chance. Stuff happens, parts break, but you should always have backup extractors, bolts if possible. Just get them into your grip, pack them with a little bit of paper towels, and you have your spares on you. So we had that parts breakage. So in terms of the MPX and reliability, everything that I've seen about the MPX has pointed to the fact that it's a very reliable gun, and I tend to agree. These tend to run very, very well for a long period of time with not a whole lot of parts breakages. There are issues with accuracy due to the gas block, but overall, if I could rate this, I find this to be probably one of my favorite pistol caliber carbines, notwithstanding the many issues that are kind of being presented in this particular video. So between this and the MP5, I kind of tend to use both pretty equally. I find the MPX to be a fairly mature design at this point. I know that likely we'll probably have another update to address some of the issues that we've talked about today in the video, and it'll be an even better design. I know people are always angry about the beta testing, and I do agree with you on that. But even as it stands, this Gen 2 MPX is perhaps one of my favorite PCCs that I shoot just because of how soft it is, how easy it is to control, how nice the controls are for changing mags and all that. It just feels natural with the MPX. I find this to be a very, very good system. There is definitely some debate when it comes to the gas system in terms of the piston getting too dirty. From what I've seen, this was primarily a Gen 1 issue. I haven't noticed that I've had to clean out the piston on my Gen 2. I know there will be competition shooters will hop in and give some more feedback, because I've heard kind of a mixture of needing to clean the piston versus not needing to clean the piston. So we'll let people get into the comments there, because that's something I'm a little bit undecided on from my experience on the MPX right now. Overall, I would definitely say this is something that I would consider purchasing. If you're in the market for a PCC, definitely consider the MPX. If you want to run it suppressed, I don't think that this is a particular gun for you. We'll have a whole video on suppressing the MPX. I would go with Ronin Arms with their particular conversions. I think that's probably your best option. But there are certainly better PCCs for suppression specifically. But beyond that, I find this to be a really good overall fighting carbine in a pistol caliber, being 9mm. So with all that being said, get out there, try it out, see if it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But the biggest thing is train with it. If you're not training with this gun, it's absolutely not going to matter. So get out there, get training, get good with whatever you have. If you have an MP5, a Scorpion, whatever, those are all great and well-proven designs. Actually get out there and train with your bros. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We got nothing else for you guys, except for final advice is going to be dad advice. Dad advice for today is going to be make sure that you have a nice little fund of money put away. I know it's really fun to spend all your money on guns and ammunition and all that fun stuff. However, if you blow a tire and you don't have money for tires, it's going to be a tough day for you and your family. Make sure you save up a little bit. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Talk to you later. George Droid.